Hey, I'm Jason from Fuzzlord, and today in this video we're going to be checking out a bunch of my favorite amps in the doom metal genre. So we're going to be checking out a bunch of them and then hearing sound clips from many of the amps that I've been able to demo here on the channel. While you're watching the video, drop a comment below and let me know what your current amp setup is, as well as like your dream amp setup. So I've also done some other videos on the channel of budget guitar amps, solid state, bedroom guitar amps, so check those out also. A lot of these amps are going to be more on the collectible side and a little more on the expensive side, but still some of my favorite amps out there in production. If you like what you're watching, be sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of the content that I'm putting out. And if you want to help support what I'm doing here on YouTube, check out the Patreon page linked in the description. We're starting right now. And stick around to the end of the video. I'll give you my #1 tip on how to get the best tone from whatever guitar amp and pedal board setup you're playing on. All right, the first amp we're going to check out today is the Fender Bassman. This is a 50-watt head. These also are available in 100-watt heads, so I think either the 50-watt or the 100-watt in a 4x12 will be a great setup. These get overlooked sometimes in the doom metal scene, but what they are is a really powerful and loud amplifier that doesn't have a lot of breakup on its own. These are non-master volume amps, so you're not going to have a master volume control that you can turn down lower while driving the preamp. So these will break up, but they're going to be at a lot louder volumes. These can still be found for pretty affordable prices, considering their age and how good of an amp they are. They have a bass and a normal input, as well as the deep and bright switches. These make really great clean pedal platform amplifiers. This amplifier was kind of the basis of most modern guitar amps. These come with 6L6 tubes in them, and then in the preamp it's going to be 12 AX7s. Another amplifier that's really similar to this that might be a little more to the liking of the modern guitar players, the Marshall JTM45. Circuit-wise, a very similar amplifier, but it's running a pair of EL34 output tubes, so it's going to be a little bit different sounding, as well as it has the 3-band tone stack instead of the Fender Bassman, which just has the 2-band bass treble. The mids are fixed on these amps. So 3-band tone stack, a presence control, so it has negative feedback, and a normal and a bright input. Again, this is a non-master volume amp also. These are a bit more expensive than the Bassmans that I've seen, but another great amplifier that I think gets overlooked in the doom metal genre a lot. So let's check out a little audio clip and hear the Fuzzlord FTW45 amp that is kind of right in between a JTM45 and a Bassman. This is from a video on the channel where Mike from Yob stopped by to let us check out his pedal board and play through the FTW45 amp. So let's check out what that sounds like. I believe he's using a Fuzzlord Darkmaster as well as Quantum Mystic Distortion.
The song Grasping Air, it'll take me a second to find the timing for it.
If you want to check out more of Mike's gear setup, just check out that video on the channel. It goes through his whole pedal board, what guitar tuning he uses, the strings, the speakers, and his cap. So next up, we're going to check out the Randall RG100ES. This is an amplifier that was used by Sammy in Acid Bath, as well as a bunch of the recordings in Crowbar. So this is a 120 watt solid state guitar amplifier. And if you're going for that whole sludge metal guitar tone like Acid Bath and Crowbar, most of that classic guitar tone was this amplifier with a Boss metal zone run into it. I believe in Crowbar they were using it more at lower gain settings, but in Acid Bath Sammy was using this with the distortion pretty much cranked. So if you've got experience playing one of these, I'm curious to know what you think of them in the comments. If you want to know more about Sammy's guitar tone, you can check out this video on YouTube where he's talking about the settings of his metal zone, the Randall RG100 amplifier, and just kind of the differences in gear that he was using between Acid Bath and Crowbar. I know in Crowbar he pretty much had his settings dialed in, but in this video he was talking about how when he's playing in Acid Bath he was always changing the settings of this pedal because it can sound so wildly different. Alright, moving on. I think the Orange Super Crush is probably one of the best budget guitar amps that is really popular in doom metal right now. I think this one's $500 new, but they definitely show up on the used market. It is a 2-channel amp, so it's got a clean and a dirty channel. It's got the master volume over here on the left with the reverb, and then the 2 different groups of controls for the dirty channel and the clean channel. So the dirty channel has a master volume of its own, as well as a gain control, then the bass, middle, and treble tone stack, and then the clean channel just has the bass, treble, and master volume. So you can kind of match these to each other with master volumes, and then of course there is the overall master volume that sets the volume for both channels. So I think this is a really good sounding amplifier. I think for most people, using it on the clean channel and then using it as a pedal board platform amplifier is what most people are doing, but they do have a nice distortion on their own. So let's check out another clip from the Fuzzlord channel where I did a demo on this amplifier, and we'll check out the dirty channel on its own, and we'll also hear the clean channel with a Fuzzlord Drone Master distortion. All right, next up is the Electro Harmonix MiG 50. This is the more modern Electro Harmonix remake of the Sovtek MiG 50. I think this is one of the best all-around 50-watt guitar amp heads on the market today that you can still get brand new at a pretty reasonable price. So it has the two different volume controls for the two different inputs, the bass, middle, treble, tone stack, as well as the presence control. Another amplifier kind of similar to the Bassman and the Marshall JTM45 that is a non-master volume amp. So these will break up and get some overdrive to them on their own, but you do have to crank them really loud. This is another amplifier that is really popular with people using pedal boards for the majority of their guitar tone. Can't do a doom metal guitar amps video without mentioning the Sun Model T. In previous videos we've checked those out, but today I wanted to check out something a little bit different. This is a modern remake of the classic Sun Model T from 378 amplifiers. I've checked out his work quite a few times, and I think these are the best modern remakes of the Sun Model T on the market. So they're all wired point to point on the inside, just like the classic Model Ts. If I was going to choose between getting a vintage Model T and something like this, I would definitely go with the 378 or the 378 amplifiers version, because they're built brand new with modern components, and this guy just does really clean work. So check them out on Instagram. You can see some build updates and stuff like that. I know he went out and saw Sun, the band, play a while ago. They've got a big collection of the Model T amps, and from what I understand, they were really impressed by it. So if you're into Sun Model T amps and want to check out something a little different, this is actually available to order today. Check these out from 378 Amplifiers. All right, next up is one of my favorite amps of all time. This is the Laney AOR50. They also made the AOR100, so there's a 50 watt and the 100 watt version. These amplifiers do have a master volume control, so you can keep the overall volume low while cranking the preamp volumes to get a lot of that natural tube overdrive. You've got the 3-band bass, middle, and treble tone circuit, but these are push-pull pots, so you can pull for a bass boost, mid boost, or treble boost. When I'm playing mine, I do like to pull the bass pot out and keep it at about 3 or 4. Gives a nice bass boost, and then I keep the middle and the trebles pushed in. So this is the amplifier that is in the Sleep Dragonaut video. Just a really cool classic amp. They're getting a little bit more collectible, but you can still find them on Craigslist or on Reverb sometimes for usually less than $1,000. So these amplifiers were big in the 80s. They were kind of like a more budget version of the JCM 800, but they actually have a really good clean channel on them. And again, one of my favorite amps. So if you played one, I'm curious to know what you think of it. Let's check out this video. I did a demo on my Laney AOR50 a couple years back, and let's just take a listen to what it sounds like and check out the tone controls. All right, next up is the Mad Amp GT120. They have these in a master volume version as well as a non-master volume. These are some of the most iconic doom metal guitar amps out there. These are built to order. They're fully customizable. You can get custom text and stuff put on the faceplates or get different colors of them. But green is the classic. They have a rotary control for the bass boost and the drive controls. On the on the non-master volume version, the drive controls are rotary. I believe on the master volume, this is a more standard gain control. 2-band bass treble back sandal tone stack with a master volume and the presence control. They do have an effects loop, but these are a passive effects loop that are more dialed in to use with their echo unit that they sell separately. It's more like a slap back echo kind of reverb kind of deal. I've got another demo on the channel. Let's take a quick listen to what this amplifier sounds like. Another really collectible and sought after amp in the doom metal genre is going to be the Orange OR120. There's some differences between the ones made in the 70s and then the ones made in the 90s, but this is going to be kind of a similar concept to the Mad Amp GT120. I think these sound a little more like a tight overdrive versus the Mad Amp sounds a little fuzzier to me, but another really classic amp in the genre that's been used by a bunch of different people. I believe Thomas from Monolord is still touring with these. A really loud and powerful 120 watt amplifier. A more simple circuit than some of the more modern amps, but this particular one that's on reverb right now is a really clean example of how Orange was building amps in the 70s. The high watt DR103 is another really popular amp in the genre, definitely one of the more expensive ones. These are really loud and very clean amplifiers. They do have a master volume, but the preamp section definitely does not have as much gain as a Marshall or something like that, for example. Another amplifier that is popular to use as a clean pedal board platform amp. So Mike from Yob has toured with these before. I believe he also plays the High Tones, which is a really similar amplifier. If you like loud, clean amps, this is definitely one to consider. All right, last amp we're gonna check out today is the Marshall JCM 800. These showed up a lot in the earlier Electric Wizard stuff. Just was playing these on tour as well as using them to record. A lot higher gain than the JTM 45 or like the TR 103. These have a really tight distortion and are really popular in like death metal music and stuff like that, being pushed with a tube screamer, but they also sound great with pedals. So definitely something to check out if you're shopping for an amplifier. And these are a master volume amplifier, so they have a volume for the overall volume and then a preamp volume, so you can turn the volume down these and actually push the preamp section and get a lot of natural tube distortion out of it. Again, being pushed by a tube screamer or something, they sound really good. So let's check out one last clip so we can hear what those sound like. We're going to wrap up this video. All right, thanks for watching the video. Drop that comment below. Let me know what your current amp setup is, as well as your like desert island dream amp setup. For me, I think my favorite out there is probably going to be like the high watt DR 103 with a nice pedal board in front of it and a 4x12 cab. Currently my favorite speakers are the Weber version of the Celestian Greenback. They're 60 watts a piece, so when you wire up a 4x12, they're good for 240 watts. Celestian Greenbacks sound really good, but the old vintage ones are a little low of a power rating for really pushing it hard with a 100 watt amp and some pedals. I want to give a big thank you to the producer level Patreon supporters J Kid, Jonas, Corey, and Rustin. If you want to know more about the Patreon page, check out the link in the description. We do some giveaway contest over there, behind the scenes stuff, Q&A, and a bunch of people just hang out and talk over there. Keep your eyes on the channel. I've got a new pedal that I've been working out that I'm hoping to release soon. Here's a little preview of it. So demo soon. I've been talking about this one over on the Patreon page, so if you want to know a little behind the scenes stuff I'm working on, head on over there. Last but not least, my number one tip for getting the best tone and sounding good through whatever your gear setup is, whether you're playing more affordable stuff like my Epiphone SG that I really like to play and like an Orange Super Crush, or you got a bunch of the high-end collectible gear. I think the number one thing that most people that are like crazy gear collectors are going to hear is you practicing. So I know a lot of us obsess over this stuff, and I just want you to know, as someone that has been collecting and building guitar gear for a long time now and playing guitar for a long time, that the number one thing that people are going to hear no matter what your setup is how clean you play. So I know some people will probably argue that, but if you just sit down for 30 minutes a day, just set a timer on your phone or whatever, and practice 5 days a week, I guarantee that that's something that is going to improve your overall sound no matter what your gear setup is. 30 minutes a day may sound like a lot, but I think most of us are doom scrolling on our phones way longer than that. So just set a timer, maybe run some scales for, let's say, 5 minutes. I like to start off with whatever scale I'm playing, but let's say you're playing a pentatonic. Just start off on the first fret, run it up the 6 strings and back down, then slide up to the 2nd fret. Do that from the 1st fret to the 12th fret and back down. I think you can do that in 5 minutes or less. And then pick a couple songs that you'd like to learn and play along to them. Something I like to do is get on YouTube and look at tabs, like the play along tabs, and you can slow down the speed of the video and the settings. I think it's really important to play at whatever speed you can actually play the song cleanly and then work up on it. Lately I've been working on Jezebel by Acid Bath, and I believe I started off that song on like 80% speed and then played it for a night, next night went up to 85%, stayed there for about 2 days, went up to 90, 95. I'm playing at full speed now. It's still a little fast for me, so I keep kind of creeping back down to 90 and working my way back up. Hopefully that's helpful. I just want everyone to know that even though it's fun to look at collectible gear and like want all these things that are often really expensive, custom guitars, amplifiers, all that kind of stuff, that don't forget that the number one thing about being a true musician is sitting down and practicing. 5 days a week, 30 minutes, and I think something that we overlook a lot in the guitar community is just approaching things like a true musician. Either play along to some music that you like to play along to, that way you got a drummer to follow. Run your scales to a metronome. That is just something that will make you a tight guitar player, which I think is the key to having a good tone. I'm Jason from Fuzzlord. I really appreciate you watching this video. I'll talk to you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.